friends, today we will learn about water pollution and sewage. Water is absolutely essential for the existence of life, means animal and plants. It provides a wonderful chemical medium in which all biological and biochemical processes occur. Water dissolves various nutrients, distributes them to cells, and removes waste products. About 60% of the human body is composed of water. One can survive without food for some weeks, but cannot survive without water for more than a few days. Besides drinking, man requires water for breathing, for bathing, washing, livestock raising, industrial and agricultural, and various other needs of man. It is estimated that only around 0.007% of Earth's water is available for direct human consumption. Thus, consumable water is a natural resource. Water is required for development and progress of people and therefore a nation. In fact, historically, the places of availability of water were the major determinants for the settlement of people. This is because besides regular use, water is essential to raise the crops. It is an accepted fact that a community with good water supply has good growth, progress and prosperity. For the reasons stated, it is well recognized world over that there is an urgent need for water conservation and management. Let's know about dissolved oxygen. Oxygen is soluble in water, and this dissolved oxygen is essential to support fish and other aquatic life in water. The solubility of atmospheric oxygen in fresh water is around 7 to 15 mg per TL, depending on the temperature and pressure. Increase in temperature and salts in water decreases oxygen solubility. Oxygen gets dissolved in water by one or more of some ways. Let's know the ways. First is direct entry from the atmosphere. Second is by aquatic plant, that is algae, photosynthesis. Third is introduction by artificial means, that is aerators. Let's know about importance of dissolved oxygen. A minimum level of dissolved oxygen at a concentration around 4 mg per dl is considered to be necessary to support healthy aquatic life. If good aerobic conditions are not maintained, anaerobic microorganisms take over and cause harmful effects, and this is what happens in polluted waters, particularly from the industrial and municipal waste. Determination of dissolved oxygen is very important in water pollution. This is mostly carried out by measuring biochemical oxygen demand, utilizing microorganisms for the oxidation of organic matter. Now let's know about water pollution. Several kinds of natural and human-made activities like domestic, industrial, agricultural, etc. contribute to water pollution. Water pollution is characterized by certain observable disturbances in the normal properties and functions of fresh water. These include offensive odors, decrease in aquatic life, bad taste, and unchecked growth of aquatic weeds. Groundwater pollution. The groundwater is generally considered to be safe and is useful for drinking, agricultural and industrial purposes. In fact, groundwater is less prone to pollution. However, in recent years, it is recognized that the contamination with fluoride, arsenic and nitrate in the groundwater poses a serious threat to human health. Surface water pollution. Let's know about surface water pollution. The rivers, lakes and reservoirs are highly susceptible for pollution due to natural and man-made activities. The routes for the entry of pollutant include sewage outfalls, industrial outfalls, outfalls from nuclear stations, surface water pollution is a major threat for survival of life itself. It is therefore necessary that regular monitoring of various routes of water contamination is done and effective protective measures are taken to minimize the pollution. Let's know about nature of water pollutants. There are a large number of water pollutants which may be in dissolved, suspended or colloidal state. The pollutants may be broadly categorized like uh, organic pollutants, inorganic pollutants, microbial pollutants, radioactive pollutants. The silent picture of these pollutants are the sources of their contribution. So let's know about organic pollutants. Organic compounds as such are absolutely essential for the existence of life. However, their entry into water causes pollution resulting in bad odor and unpleasant taste. In addition, some of the organic compounds may be toxic or even carcinogenic to humans. Sources of organic pollutants. Let's know about sources of organic pollutants. There are several natural sources of organic pollutants. These include the decay of leaves, plants, and dead animals, besides the release of organic materials from the aquatic plants and microorganisms. Several synthetic organic pollutants, example pesticides, herbicides, ethyl benzene, and synthetic volatile organic chemicals, carbon tetrachloride, tetrachloroethylene, pollute water. Certain organic pollutants such as dioxin and polychlorinated biphenyls (PCBs) are very toxic besides being carcinogenic to humans. Let's know about inorganic pollutants. In the natural freshwater, sources may be ground or surface. There occurs varying concentrations of inorganic chemicals. Most of them in general are within the acceptable limits. Sources of inorganic pollutants. In industrial and agricultural outflows pollute water with inorganic compounds, example metal complexes, inorganic salts, mineral acids, trace elements, etc. Among these, water pollution due to toxic metals assumes significance, example lead, nickel, cadmium, arsenic and aluminium. Let's know about microbiological pollutants. A wide range of microorganisms, viruses, bacteria, protozoa, algae, helminthes, contribute to water pollution. A majority of these organisms are harmless to humans. However, there are certain organisms that cause diseases referred to as the waterborne diseases. Such organisms causing some form of sickness in humans are referred to as pathogens or pathogenic organisms. Common pathogenic organisms found in water and respective diseases. Let's know about some diseases, organisms, diseases and major disease symptoms. Bacteria. First is bacteria. Due to bacteria, first bacteria is Escherichia coli. It is enteropathogenic. Disease caused gastroenteritis. Major disease symptom is diarrhea. Next is Salmonella typhi. It's another bacteria. It's a disease caused typhoid. Disease symptom is high fever, diarrhea. Salmonella paratyphi. Paratyphoid fever. Symptom is fever. Salmonella species, salmonellosis, food poisoning. Major symptom is food poisoning. Vibrio cholerae, it's a disease, cholera, and its symptom is diarrhea and dehydration. Shigella species, shigellosis, disease is shigellosis and symptom is bacillary dysentery. Next is Legionella pneumophila. Its disease is legionellosis and its symptom is acute respiratory illness. Now According to viruses, what the disease? Let's see. Adenovirus. First is adenovirus. Due to that, disease causing is respiratory diseases, and major disease symptom is breathing difficulty. Next virus is enterovirus. Due to this, disease caused gastroenteritis, and symptom is diarrhea. Reovirus. Its disease is gastroenteritis causing diarrhea. Hepatitis A, infectious hepatitis, it's cause jaundice. Now come to protozoa. Let's know about, according to protozoa, what the diseases are. Entamoeba histolytica, that is due to diseases amoebic dysentery, prolonged diarrhea. Symptom is prolonged diarrhea. Next is Giardia lamblia. Its disease is giardiasis. Major disease symptom is mild diarrhea, nausea. Next is protozoa Balantidium coli. Balantidiasis disease is balantidiasis, and symptom is dysentery. Now come to helminthes. First is, in helminthes, Ascaris lumbricoides. It causes disease ascariasis, and symptom is round hole infestation, and cystoma species. It causes disease schistosomiasis, and its symptoms is hematuria and diarrhea. Fasciola hepatica. It disease causing is fasciolitis. It's causing jaundice. Tinea saginata. It's cause tinnitus, intestinal infection. Next is algae. Due to algae, what happens? What diseases? Microcystic aeruginosa. It causes gastroenteritis, causing diarrhea. Alphanozomenon flosaciu. It causes gastroenteritis. Disease is gastroenteritis, and symptoms is diarrhea. Schizothrix calceola. Schizothrix calceola. It causes gastroenteritis. Its symptom is diarrhea. Now let's know about sources of pathogens. The pathogens are mainly present in the wastewater, and for most of them, human feces are the prime source of pollution. The human waste can pollute the water from sewage outfalls, or from a flow of waste from ground, and most from failed septic system. The best way to control water contamination with pathogenic organisms is to prevent the human waste from entering potable water. Now let's know about radioactive pollutants. Water may get polluted with radioactive materials arising from nuclear plants, radiostates used in medical, industrial and research purposes. Besides the processing of ores to produce radioisotopes, the radioactive pollutants are carcinogenic. Example: uranium, radium, thorium. Let's know about wastewater or sewage. Sewage is the liquid waste or waste arising mainly from domestic and industrial sources, residential, institutional and commercial. It's mainly from residential and institutional and commercial. Let's know about composition of sewage. The actual composition of sewage depends on the source from which it comes. In general, about 97 to 99% of sewage is composed of water, while the rest is solids. The most important organic, inorganic compounds and living organisms found in wastewater are organic. First is organic, means carbohydrate, fats, proteins, amino acids and urea. Besides the products of their degradation And inorganic, let's know about inorganic waste. From sand, mud, mineral ash, mineral salts, lead, arsenic, mercury and cyanides. Living organisms, that is bacteria, viruses, algae, fungi and protozoa. Let's know about types of sewage. The wastewater is broadly categorized as weak, medium and strong based on the composition. It must, however, be noted that the composition of sewage is highly variable, which mostly depends on the local conditions. The sewage mainly consists of solids, organic and inorganic compounds of the nitrogen and phosphorus, chlorides, grease and volatile organic compounds. Measurement of water pollution. Let's know about measurement of water pollution. The measurement of water pollution in sewage waste water with special reference to organic matter and pathogenic organisms is described. Let's know about the description. Now, measurement of organic matter of sewage. The organic matter present in the sewage is regarded as biological active if it can be oxidized by the bacteria. On the other hand, the organic matter resistant to bacterial degradation is considered as biological inactive. For the purpose of sewage treatment, the biologically active organic matter is important. The commonly used laboratory methods for the measurement of organic matter in sewage are BOD, biochemical oxygen demand. Next is chemical oxygen demand, total organic carbon. Fourth is theoretical oxygen demand. Let's know about biochemical oxygen demand. In short, BOD. Biochemical oxygen demand is the most widely used parameter to measure the organic pollution in sewage as well as surface water. BOD basically involves the measurement of dissolved oxygen utilized by the organism for the biochemical oxidation of organic matter. The demand for oxygen and the process of oxidation depends on the type and quantity of organic matter, temperature and type of the organism used. The general biochemical oxygen demand is measured for an incubation period of 5 days, hence appropriately referred to as BOD5 at a temperature of 20 degrees centigrade. If the organic content of the sewage is high, it needs to be diluted for the measurement of BOD. Further, for wastewater with less pollution of microorganisms, seeding with bacterial culture is necessary. BOD indicates the amount of organic matter present in the sewage. Thus, the more is organic content, the higher is the BOD. If the available dissolved oxygen, is less than the BOD, the organic matter decomposes anaerobically putrefies and produces foul smell. Thus, BOD is a measure of nuisance potential of sewage. Now, let's know about the limitations of BOD. BOD measures only biodegradable organic matter. A high concentration of bacterial load is required. For measuring BOD of toxic wastewater, pre-treatment is necessary. Requires long period of incubation, that is 5 days. Despite these drawbacks, BOD is very widely used world over for practical and economical reasons. Now let's know about chemical oxygen demand, COD. In short, COD. Chemical oxygen demand refers to the oxygen equivalents of organic matter that can be oxidized by using strong chemical oxidizing agents, usually potassium dichromate. In the presence of a catalyst in acidic medium is employed for this purpose. The overall reaction is organic matter plus Cr2O72 minus plus H plus gives rise to Cr3 plus CO2 plus H2O. When compared with BOD, COD oxidizes more organic compounds. Hence, COD values are higher than BOD values. Chemical oxygen demand can be determined in just 3 hours in contrast to BOD requiring 5 days. Some workers determine COD and calculate BOD. This is possible since there exists a reasonably good correlation between COD and BOD. Now let's know about total organic carbon. Measurement of total organic carbon is required when the concentration of organic matter is very low. TOC can be determined by oxidizing organic carbon in the presence of a catalyst to carbon dioxide, which can be measured. Now let's know about theoretical oxygen demand. The organic matter of sewage is mainly composed of carbohydrates, proteins and fats and products of their decomposition. If the chemical formula of the organic matter are known, the theoretical oxygen demand can be calculated. Let's know about detection of pathogenic organisms of sewage. Human beings infected with disease-causing microorganisms are the carrier and they can discharge pathogenic organisms. In wastewater, several species of bacteria, viruses, protozoa, and helminthes are responsible for the diseases in humans. Among the diseases, waterborne diseases originating from sewage, typhoid, paratyphoid, cholera, gastroenteritis, diarrhea, and dysentery are important. All these diseases are highly infectious and are responsible for the death of thousands of people in countries with poor sanitation. Indicator or index organisms of sewage. Let's know about indicator or index organisms of sewage. It is tedious and time consuming to isolate and identify pathogenic organisms in water waste. Some other non-pathogenic bacteria of sewage polluted water are employed for this purpose. Example: E. coli, Streptococcus faecalis, Clostridium perfringens, Klebsiella species. These organisms are collectively referred to as indicator or index organisms. Among the indicator organisms, the rod-shaped bacteria, commonly known as coliform organism, E. coli or Aerobacter species, are the most commonly used. The intestinal tract of man is very rich in coliform bacteria. It is estimated that each person discharges about 100 to 400 billions of coliform organisms per day. Therefore, the detection of coliform organism is clear indication of fecal contamination and thus the presence of pathogenic organisms, and on the other hand, the absence of these organisms indicates that the water is free from disease-causing organisms. Detection of coliform organism is based on the fact that a great majority of waterborne diseases have fecal origin. Let's know about laboratory methods for detection of coliform organisms. There are three major commonly employed for the detection of coliform organisms in water samples: multiple tube fermentation techniques, membrane filter technique, and colilate technique. Let's know about multiple tube fermentation techniques. This is basically a test that involves acid fermentation. Lactose broth fermentation is tested at around 35 degrees for 1 to 2 days in a series of tubes involving sequential test, presumptive test, confirmed test, and completed test. Presumption test. The wastewater sample is serially diluted. 1 ml of the sample of each dilution is then transferred to each of the 5 fermentation tubes. These tubes contain lactose culture medium and inverted gas collection tubes. At the end of 24 hours incubation period, if there occurs gas collection in the inverted tube, the test is positive, indicating the presence of coliform organisms. Now let's know about coliform test. If no gas formation occurs in the presumptive test, the incubation is continued for another 24 hours. If gas formation is detected now, the test confirms the presence of coliform bacteria. If no gas is produced even in the coliform test, it can be assumed that the samples are free from coliform. Completed test. In this, a sample from positive coliform test is grown on eosin methylene blue agar, EMD agar. The incubation is carried out at 35 degrees for 24 hours. The presence of E. coli can be detected by the occurrence of greenish metallic screen on the plates. Membrane filtration technique MFT. The presence of coliform organisms in water can be detected by using cellulose acetate ester with a pore size of 0.3 to 0.5 micrometer. For this purpose, the membrane is first sterilized for 20 minutes at 80 degrees centigrade. The filtration is carried out in aseptic conditions under vacuum. As the filtration occurs, the bacteria are held on the membrane surface. The trapped bacteria are dried and stained with a dye such as erythrocin and detected. Advantages and disadvantages. The membrane filtration technique is rapid and can be carried out outside the laboratory also or field. This is in contrast to multiple tube fermentation technique. The major limitation MFT is that it cannot be used for turbid and or heavily polluted water. This is because the membrane pores get clogged. Now let's know about Colient technique. Although commonly used, both the tests described MFT and MF sometimes give false positive and false negative results. Colliot technique is a recent and novel technique designed to significantly detect E. coli and other coliform bacteria. This is based on the principle that when certain substrates are digested by microorganisms, chromosomes are produced. Thus, when O nitrophil B D glucuronide E. coli produces a fluorescent compound. Let's know about techniques to distinguish fecal from non-fecal bacteria. A positive laboratory test for coliform bacteria need not necessarily be due to pathogenic organisms originating from intestines. For instance, Enterobacter aerogenes found in decaying plant materials can ferment lactose and give a positive coliform taste. Thus, the presence of E. aerogenes in water does not indicate contamination with coliform bacteria. A series of laboratory tests are available to differentiate fecal from non-fecal organisms. These techniques are collectively referred to as IMV-IC test. I stands for indole test, M for methyl red test, V for Vox Proscore test, C stands for citrate test. The four tests are used to distinguish E. coli from Enterobacter aerogenes. E. coli gives positive indole and methyl red test and indicates that the sources of pollution is of fecal origin. On the other hand, Enterobacter aerogenes gives positive Vox Proscore and citrate test, which shows that the water pollution is due to non-fecal origin. Thank you.